Just turn on the news and you can't miss it. Now more than ever, there's widespread concern over the link between football and long-lasting brain damage.
For years, much of the focus has been on concussions, but it may go deeper than that. New information now suggests that even if a player never suffers a single concussion, they still have brain changes. Losing in the playoffs was heartbreaking.
Touchdown,
But Coach Bob Wager says it's even more painful to watch one of his players suffer a major injury, especially a concussion.
And football's a very physical sport. Anything that we can do to help those kids be safer, I'm all for.
But no longer is it just that one hit that researchers now say is a concern.
What we found were changes in the brain after a single season of football that were associated with cumulative head impact exposure.
Brain expert Dr. Chris Whitlow says during the course of a high school football season, he found players' brains changed, and those who hit more changed more. What's alarming, though, is the changes occurred despite the fact that not one of the players studied suffered a concussion.
I view it as hopefully an opportunity for us to use science to make our game safer.
Coach Wager says he hopes this leads to more research, not more panic about the dangers of the sport.
There's risk in football, but boy, there's some unbelievable positive things that come along with it as well.
And he says that's why it's still worth playing. Now, while researchers determined that changes in the brain did occur in these high school players, it's still unclear what cognitive impact, short or long term, those changes will have. Regardless, we cannot emphasize it nearly enough. You have to be careful on the field. A brain injury is nothing to take lightly.
And unfortunately, Jimmy, it happens way too often, but not just in football. The Institute of Medicine has taken a closer look at concussion risks for student athletes, and it finds the risk is high in other sports too. In high school and college, football, ice hockey, and lacrosse top the list for male athletes. For females, it's soccer, lacrosse, and basketball. Now to the numbers, and it's hard to believe. They've skyrocketed over the years in youth sports. In 2001, the Institute reports the number of athletes aged 19 and younger who were treated for concussions and other sports and recreation-related traumatic brain injuries was 150,000. In 2009, that number rose to 250,000. That's a spike of 66%. But what if there was a more effective treatment for concussion? Something that doesn't just treat the pain, but something that could stop the damage to the brain right after the big hit. Well, it may all come down to a simple pill.
If something was too loud, I would start getting a terrible headache.
13-year-old London Glenn was on the wrong side of a tough tackle last year. His concussion was so bad, he actually missed 9 weeks of school.
A dull just pain in my head, and then sometimes I would just get a terrible headache where I couldn't do anything.
Just last year, UConn football's Casey Cochran made a difficult choice, giving up the sport he loved so much after suffering multiple concussions.
I made a tackle where somewhere and the ball came up and just smacked me in the head. And then I fell and I was like a little dizzy. It's like, oh my God, I can't see.
And former Central Connecticut State University soccer standout Jewel Robinson had to sit out some games her sophomore year after getting a concussion on the field.
I sat out the rest of the game and then I missed probably like a week and a half, and then I missed like 2 more games because you have to do like the impact test and go through all that to make sure you don't have any more symptoms before you can play again.
In the future, there may be a new way to treat concussions early on.
It's a very, very stressed tissue.
Dr. James Lecklider is a researcher who recently received a patent for a concussion pill.
This is a pill that actually is designed, or the drug inside the pill is designed so that it does not get into the brain unless actually it's damaged. And so if you don't actually have a damage or an injury that day, it's excreted, and so you're good to go.
The pill works by activating compounds that stimulate the special cells that protect the brain from long-term damage. The idea would be to give this pill to athletes, soldiers, or anyone else right after they suffer a head injury.
Sometimes you know that if you've been hit in the head that you aren't quite right. That it'd be nice if I could take something to sort of relieve that sort of, not just the headache, but actually the damage that was causing that headache.
A clinical trial is planned, and Dr. Lecklider hopes to get the drug to market within the next 5 years. And the clinical trial will determine if there are any toxic side effects to the pill. The doctor discovered this possible breakthrough while looking for a cure for cancer.
Looking for a cure for cancer. Wow. Well, you know, sometimes you do have to take things into your own hands. And that's exactly what these next boys did. With a history of head injuries, they weren't taking any chances on the basketball court.
Now, the way they're protecting their heads is actually turning heads.
I just want to be safe out there. I mean, it's a contact sport.
When you see sophomores Thomas Engel and Joseph Prezerin playing in their games, something looks different.
Sometimes before a game, some people look at me and like start laughing.
I've had people ask me about it just because they don't see many people wearing it, especially in basketball. See it more in soccer.
Best we can tell, they're two of very few high school basketball players wearing these, essentially supersized headbands with extra padding specifically meant to protect against head injuries. Both made the decision before this season started to wear them.
I had several concussions over last summer, and I didn't play basketball last year because I didn't want to get another one. And so I just decided, since I really wanted to play this year, I was just going to wear something.
He was a little slow coming back from it, and we had seen a couple doctors, and it was suggested, but to be perfectly honest, it was really Joseph's idea.
Joseph Prezerin's father, Joe, was happy his son took the initiative to want to protect himself. His son and his teammate says it's a decision that's paid off.
I got kneed in the head one time this season, but because I had that on, it didn't even hurt that bad.
I've gotten hit a couple times and the headband came off of my head, and I feel like if I didn't have it there, I probably would have had a pretty bad headache.
It's getting more and more accepted so that, you know, I hope no one has a head injury, but if someone does, I think it'll be a common protocol now to at least look into wearing something like this.
The coach of the team, Coach Phil, says if he had his way, all the kids would be wearing the headbands.
In basketball, too. Well, as we've mentioned, football is a sport in which concussions can happen frequently. And while the question of whether officials and teams have done enough to make it safer, many former professional players have also weighed in, including NFL Hall of Famer and Heisman Award winner Earl Campbell. Earl is considered one of the most prolific running backs in college and professional football and spent his professional career playing for the Houston Oilers. And while Earl knows a thing or two about having his bell rung, he says they're making strides when it comes to protecting future players.
It's a very, very rude sport, and it's a tough sport, but there are ways to do it now through that the commissioners has worked out. So I think there's a bright future for the NFL.
Someone else Earl sees having a bright future is his son, Tyler. Tyler was on his way to following in his father's footsteps when he got some news that would change his life forever.
I was playing my college football at San Diego State University at 21 years old at the completion of my junior season, last game of the year. Went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night experiencing paralysis on my right side of the body. I was unable to walk as well, and I was experiencing slurred speech. So as you can imagine, to go to sleep one way and wake up another, it's a scary event. And about two weeks later, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Now, despite that diagnosis, Tyler did eventually graduate from San Diego State University, and while he says his football chapter is now closed, another door opened, a door for him to tell his story and help others with the same condition. And that's something.
That is.
Now, we've been talking a lot about health today. Research shows having a pet can do wonders for your health. Up next, we'll have plenty to choose from in today's Pet Connect.
Plus, we share the story of a family that got the surprise of a lifetime after their precious pooch went missing. What's being credited for their happy reunion after 3 long lost years.
But first, we've been talking about keeping our brains healthy. What about our eyes? Dr. Oz has more on how technology could be hurting them.
Hi, I'm Dr. Oz. As many as 70% of adults are now experiencing digital eye strain from overuse of electronic devices. This can lead to permanent changes in your eyesight and long-distance vision loss. To give your eyes a break, use the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, you're going to take a 20-second break and look 20 feet away. Your eyes will thank you.